that your brother moved out of the residence and he made this phone call from Mexico?
Yes.
Did you tell Detective Moyer that when you were interviewed on September 11, 1996?
I don't remember if I did.
Did you tell Detective Moyer anything about confronting him once, his leaving, and then coming back and confronting him again?
Yes, I did.
Thank you, Ms. Gearman. That's all I have at this time.
Mr. Schumacher, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Gearman, do you know if the report you're talking about seeing is the police report or report from Child Protective Services
Do I know if it was a police report?
or from Child Protective Services?
I'm pretty sure it was a police report.
Your husband was prosecuted for a crime, is that correct?
Yes, he was.
And he was found guilty of that?
Yes, he was.
You're now in counseling with him as a family?
Yes.
And is that in an attempt to ultimately reunite?
Yes.
Is that counseling part of his criminal conviction, or is it part of the family law matter where the children were made wards of the court, if you know?
It's both. See, he lost custody, but I have full custody.
Is he now living in the home?
No.
Is he allowed limited visitation?
6 hours a week.
You testified previously in this matter, did you not, at the preliminary hearing?
Yes, I did.
And did 3 of your children, Brandy, Bridget, and Natasha, testify there as well?
Yes, they did.
After that, were you provided with some materials by me?
Yeah, on the prelim.
I'm holding here what's entitled a transcript of preliminary hearing dated April 11. Did I in fact give you copies of that, the portion for your testimony and that for each of your children?
Yes, you did.
Did I ask you to have them review that?
Yes, you did.
Prior to coming to court and testifying?
Yes, you did.
Did I give you any other materials?
No.
You weren't given the police reports or anything else?
On John, no.
Did you tell them, encourage them to review that transcript?
Yes, I did.
And were you told that if they testified differently, obviously they could be asked about that?
Yes, I did.
You described a point after you moved to Tangerine for, I think, about a 2-month period that John was living with a girlfriend?
Yes.
Was that when you first moved into Tangerine in the middle of that time, or toward the end of the period on Tangerine that he was gone for 2 months?
It was in the beginning because I had just found out about my husband and he had already been moved out because I kicked him out. And that's when John was living with his girlfriend.
For a period of time, you and the girls lived alone on Tangerine?
Yes.
Then your husband was kicked out at that point for what reason?
Because he had touched Brandy.
And you were advised of that?
Brandy told me.
And you asked him to leave, but you didn't go to law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
This happened back in, I believe you indicated, late April of 1993. You first talked to a police officer on September 11, 1996. Is that correct?
Yes.
This was occurring, that is, as these things developed and you learned about what your brother John had done with Natasha and the other kids. Did you make any notes?
No, I did not.
Did you keep any type of records or anything?
No, I did not.
Where were you when you learned that your children had been taken away?
I was at home.
How did you learn that?
They didn't come home on the school bus, and so my husband came in for lunch. And so I called the school, and the school said, "Did anybody call you?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "They're supposed to call you." And I was like, "Where are my children?" And she goes, "I can't give you that information." So I drove up to West High and I asked them, and they told me that they didn't know where they were at. And then when I had gotten back home, Detective Moyer had called, and then he called just a couple minutes after I walked in, and he told me to come to the police department over on Truxton.
At that point, did you make any effort to go back through your memory or through any records or anything in an attempt to gather information to take down and talk to him about this?
No, I did not. I was frantic.
You just learned that your children had been taken away?
Yes.
At that point, you weren't aware that your husband had been or was going to be arrested?
No, I did not.
When did you learn that?
I was sitting out in the waiting room, as you call it, and then Detective Moyer told me that they had just arrested my husband and he needed to speak to me.
Can you describe for us your mental state at that point?
I was frantic. I was so upset. I couldn't believe that somebody had taken my children.
You testified about a girl named Timmy.
Uh-huh.
What's her full name?
Timothy Louise Hughes.
Timothy is a girl?
Yes.
And is she related to you? How?
She is the daughter of my sister who died, but my dad and stepmom adopted her, so she's actually my niece.
She would in fact be the niece of your brother?
Yes.
Okay, tell me your...
I am for the defense, Mr. Rael, R-A-E-L.
I am the court.
I am the witness.
I am plaintiff's attorney, Mr. Mock. M-O-C-K. Okay, so let's turn the page and start top of the next one. Second page? Oh, really? Okay, let's start on page, the third one. I'll start. Page 3, doesn't have page, but 3 pages in. One more.
You want to start?
Okay, so let's start here. Sound good?
Are you all there?
Okay, starts with direct examination by Mr. Mock. Ready? Paula, would you tell us your name?
Paula Marie Lacey,
Okay, Paula, how old are you?
11,
11. What is your birthday?
March 18,
And what grade are you in school?
5th.
A 5th. Do you get pretty good grades in school?
Yeah,
Do you know how to read?
yeah,
Do you know how to write?
yeah.
Can you do arithmetic in school?
Uh-huh,
Do you know the difference, Paula, between telling the truth and telling a lie?
uh-huh.
Okay, what happens when you tell a
You
lie?
usually get punished in some way.
Okay, let me just tell you a short story. Let's say we have a little girl, that is a little girl. It doesn't matter what her name is, and she goes to the store and she has 50 cents and she buys a loaf of bread and it costs 40 cents. So she has 10 cents change left over and she takes that 10 cents and she buys some candy and she eats it on her way home. When she gets home, she takes the loaf of bread and she shows it to her mother, and her mother says, was there any change? And she says no. Now, was that little girl telling the truth or was she lying?
Lying.
She was lying?
Yes.
Are you going to tell us the truth about everything you testify here today, Paula?
Yes.
I would ask that this witness be qualified to testify.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Paula, do you know what would happen if you were to lie in court today?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt me, it would hurt Daddy.
The story the district attorney just told you, have you heard that story before?
No.
No further questions.
All right, the witness is competent to testify. Mr. Mock?
Thank you. Paula, how long have you lived in Willow Creek?
Since October, I think.
Since October?
Yes.
Where did you live before that?
In Arcata.
In Arcata. How long did you live in Arcata?
Since the beginning of the year, I think since school started.
Okay, and before that you lived in Grants Pass?
Yeah,
And then before that you lived in a place called Happy Camp?
I think. I think.
Do you remember the name of the place called Happy Camp?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the place where you lived called Gold Beach?
Yes.
Is that in Oregon?
I think so.
Paula, I'm going to ask some questions, and I know it's going to be a little tough for you. I want you to just tell the truth, okay? Tell us what happened.
Okay.
When you were living in Gold Beach, do you remember a time when your father asked you to come into the house by yourself?
Yes.
Your Honor, I am going to object. The first objection is relevance, and the second objection is at best leading.
Well, he can lead a witness of this age. What is the relevance of Oregon?
Well, there is an act that happened in Oregon. Oh, I'm sorry.
Happened in Oregon? Different jurisdiction.
I just recognized that fact. Okay. Paula, sometime between living in Gold Beach and living in Grants Pass, Oregon, okay? You lived in Happy Camp, is that right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you remember a time at Happy Camp when your father had you come into the house?
Yes.
By yourself with nobody around?
Your Honor, same objection, jurisdiction.
As to what?
As to this question asking, a question concerning events that happened in Happy Camp. This court has no jurisdiction for anything occurring in Happy Camp.
Happy Camp is in what, Trinity, is it?
It's not in this county, that's all I know.
I thought Happy Camp was in Humboldt County.
I don't believe it is. I know it's in Siskiyou or...
Siskiyou.
There is a jurisdictional problem, I have to admit. I will have to research this jurisdictional problem. Could I have 1 second here? I think that this court has jurisdiction. If I could have a few minutes, maybe I could find some case law on it.
Well, are any of the alleged offenses in the complaint or any of the counts in the complaint alleged to have happened in Humboldt County?
Not with this witness.
Any other witness?
Yes, but I know there is a specific problem in these types of cases where these things happen like this and they happen over a period of time.
Well, let's withdraw this witness and take care of the witnesses who are... Or were you going to have them testify outside the county or the state?
No,
The other witnesses?
no.
I'd suggest you withdraw this witness and call your next witness, and then we'll recess after the 3 witnesses that have testified.
I have 1 witness to testify to specific acts in Humboldt County, other than the mother.
1?
1.
All right, let's have the 1 and then
That will be testifying.
recess. recess and will take up your jurisdictional problem. You want to step down and go outside for the time being?
Thank you. Right up here. Right up here. Raise your right hand.
Do you promise that everything you say here and now will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Billy, would you please tell us your name?
Billy Shannon Lacey,
How old are you, Billy?
8,
8. When is your birthday, Billy?
September the 18th,
What grade are you in school?
3rd.
Third. Do you get pretty good grades in school?
Yeah,
Yes. Do you read?
yeah,
Do you write?
yeah.
Do you know arithmetic?
No,
No. You don't do very well in arithmetic.
no.
Do you know the difference, Billy, between telling the truth and telling a lie?
Yeah.
What happens if you tell a lie?
You get in trouble.
You get in trouble. I want to tell you a short story, okay? And then I'm going to ask you a question at the end of it. Say there was a little boy and he went to the store, okay? Maybe there was a store in Willow Creek. Let's say he had 50 cents his mom gave him to buy a loaf of bread, and the loaf of bread cost 50 cents. While at the store, he gets to looking at the candy and he spends the 10 cents he had on candy. Okay. Now he eats the candy on the way home. When he got home, he gave the loaf of bread to his mother, and she asked him if he had any change, and he said, no, I didn't get any change. It cost 50 cents. Now, was he telling the truth or was he telling a lie to his mother?
He was lying.
He was lying. Are you going to tell us the truth about everything you say here today?
Yes.
I'd ask that the witness be qualified at this time.
Mr. Rail?
Do you know what place this is we are at today? What kind of room this is?
Yeah.
What is it?
Courtroom.
Do you know what happens if you lie in the courtroom?
No.
What do you think is going to happen if you lie in the courtroom?
Get in trouble.
Have you ever heard of something called a white lie?
No.
Have you ever been punished for lying before?
Yeah.
Do you understand that if you lie today, you will be punished also?
Yeah.
Nothing further.
Do you know who I am, Billy? Not my name, but do you know what I do?
No.
Pardon?
No.
Do you know why I'm sitting here?
No.
Well, I'm the judge and I listen to what you say when they ask you questions. So if you don't tell the truth, the judge would be the one that would perhaps punish you if you didn't tell the truth. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Alright, I think he is competent to testify as a witness.
Okay. Billy, you live in Willow Creek now, is that right?
Yes.
How long have you lived in Willow Creek? About a year?
Yeah, about
Do you remember where you lived before you moved to Willow Creek?
Arcata.
Arcata. Did you live there for a long time or just a short time?
Not very long.
Not very long. Did you live in Grants Pass before you moved to Arcata?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'm going to ask you some things. Remember, we talked earlier today, all right? Some things that happened in Arcata when you and your little sister Betty and your dad were alone in the house, okay? Are you going to tell us all those things?
Okay.
Are you going to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, at the time that you told me about it earlier, you told me that you and your little sister...
Your Honor, this is excessively leading.
Yes, I think it's a little too far. Sustained.
Okay. Was there a time that you remember now where you and your little sister were alone in your dad's room and something happened?
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah.
Just look at me, Billy. Tell me what happened. Did your father make you take your pants down?
Yes.
Okay, did your dad make your little sister take her pants down?
Yes.
Where was everybody else when this was happening? Do you know?
My mom was gone to pick up Paula and Jean from Grants Pass. They were staying at my grandma's.
Just you and Betty were staying at the house with your dad?
Yes.
Was it nighttime or was it daytime?
It was daytime.
It was daytime. After your dad made you and Betty take your pants down, what happened next? Did he touch you?
Yes.
Did he touch you in your private parts?
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean by private parts?
Yes.
Okay. Did he make you do something with Betty?
Yes.
Okay, what did he make you do with Betty?
He made me get on her.
He made you get on her?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your dad doing while you were doing this?
He was watching us.
He was watching you?
Yes.
Did your dad have something on his hands when he touched you?
Yes.
What was that?
Vaseline.
Vaseline. After this happened, did your dad show himself to you or anything?
No.
Did you talk to Betty about this right afterwards?
No.
Okay. How long after this happened did you talk to Betty?
I didn't talk to Betty.
On that day, didn't Betty tell you that your dad had made her do something?
Yes.
That same day?
Yes.
Your Honor, that is hearsay. I object to that.
Your Honor, Betty is the 5-year-old?
Yes.
The 6-year-old little girl, I would ask that the witness be able to testify as to her statements for 2 reasons. One is that in this case where we have a witness that is too young to testify and she can't be qualified as a witness, the statements made reasonably close to the time are spontaneous declarations. in this case, and I can cite the case law in that regard, number one, and number two, there is a recent complaint doctrine that allows this type of evidence to come in, and I cite the case of People versus Orduno, which is 80 Cal App 3rd 738. That is a recent case which recognizes the spontaneous declaration exception.
Well, if it is a spontaneous declaration, and if it is shortly after a traumatic or exciting event, I suppose it would be admissible. I will overrule it subject to a motion to strike.